Hi, my name is Darren Bartlett, and I love discussing African affairs, especially when it comes to current affairs. I will go to my relatives from Zambia, where, if you remember, on the 5th of June, President Edgar Lungu died, and he died in South Africa while he was ill. That is undisclosed. No one knows what exactly he died of, apart from the close family members and, of course, the doctor. Now, the state had organized the funeral burial where they said he's a former president. I mean, he's been a father of a nation, so he deserves a state funeral. Well, they went back and forth, agreements with the family. That was against the state funeral. Why? Because Fichilema, who's the current president, and Edgar Lungu were not in sync. They were sworn political enemies. That's what it was. A couple of times we saw Chilema was in prison because of maybe Edgar Lungu when he won his election. Now again, it's turned the other way around where a court said Edgar Lungu cannot run for a race. It is just all over the place there. So Edgar had made a will according to the family that Chilema will never be at his funeral. Well, I would say that the government can agree and say, have a state funeral, the vice president could be there, or even if the vice president is not going to be there, other delegates can be there to oversee the state funeral and the function happens. But the family has now taken steps back, sometime back, actually not now, they took some steps back and again broke down in the negotiations and said they're not going to do that. So in fact, they wanted to bury President Lungu in South Africa, where he died from. Now, the court has been hearing this case where the family wants President Edgar Lungu to be buried in South Africa, whereas the government in Zambia had also been in the same court in Pretoria saying he is a former head of state who deserves a state funeral and must be buried in Zambia, which they won. And the wife, who's the widow to Edgar Lungu, broke down in court in tears and is very unhappy with the ruling. And I think they are now thinking of an appeal. But imagine someone who died in June on 5th, a former state head of state, being tossed probably between countries and has not yet been put to his final rest. What is rest in peace in this story? There's no rest in peace. Maybe the government of Zambia should just back out and give the family their wish. But is that what the law says when it comes to privileges that come with elections, especially when the head of state dies or when someone dies in office like that? There is basically a law that has to take care of that. Should they look the other way and forego the law? But the argument of government is saying that he was just not a family head. He was the father of a nation. So he has to be buried in the right way. I don't know what you guys think about this case, but I think that the government, they can meet and compromise on certain things. The government can carry on with the state funeral without the head of state, so that the family also gets its wish that their head or their father or their husband to the wife is buried in his hometown with a state funeral, but without President Hichilema, who, according to them, in Edgar's will, doesn't want him at his funeral. It's as simple as that. In my view, each one gets what they want or what they deserve, and we all live happy. Okay, what if on the day of burial, President Hichilema is factually sick? It means he can't attend. Let me know what you think. My name is Darren.